Let me show you a different method of
Oh,
praying.
no. No.
You see, Mr. Akashi, there really wasn't an answer written there.
Oh.
You made a mistake.
Oh, that's awful. All right, welcome to another School Principal Reacts. My name is Brandon, and I'm a high school principal from the U.S. state of Georgia. I'm taking a look at another episode of Yu Yu Hakusho. Not familiar with this show. I've only seen the first episode. Check out my reaction to that if you haven't seen it yet. But you all recommended that I watch the first episode, which is Surprised to be Dead. And this one, episode 3, which is called A Promise Between Men. And I see Principal Takanaka here. So I'm assuming that this is going to center around his school yet again. Looking forward to this one. Thanks again for the recommendation. And just a reminder to subscribe to the channel if you're not yet subscribed. And let's get into it. I love this theme here. All right, A Promise Between Men. Let's do it.
Hands up!
Kuwabara? I take it you guys are from Kazanaga Junior High, because that's where all the idiots go to school. It's okay, just go on home now.
Nobody else around?
As far as causing trouble's concerned, you boys keep topping yourselves. Attacking a trio of older boys from Kazanaga Junior High who, according to their mothers, were quite harmless.
No, they weren't. Yeah, you notice what he says. So I guess they're in junior high also. I wasn't sure at first. But they come in with bruises from fighting with some other students from another school. And he says, I guess this is a teacher. I'm not sure. But he says, according to their mothers, were harmless. Yeah, that's usually the way it goes, honestly. Doesn't matter what someone does. According to their parent, it's usually, well, it's not their fault. In my past, that's usually the way that it has gone. I wonder if they'll get in trouble for that since it wasn't at school here.
We have a thing called accountability.
Oh, please, not that speech again.
Why doesn't he tell him that he did it to save Keiko?
Teachers like that don't care about reasons. They just want to keep on yapping.
What's this?
And he says teachers like that don't care about reasons. They just want to keep on yapping. Every teacher is a little bit different if we're talking teachers or administrators too. And I have seen people that they really don't listen to reasons, as he said. You always want to hear a student out, even if you know with 100% certainty that they're in the wrong in any given situation. But you do still want to listen. They have the absolute right to tell you their side of the story, whatever that is. Again, even if they're completely in the wrong.
Oh, Kubo, I understand you're working in a part-time job with the school's permission. Is that true?
Uh-huh.
Well, not anymore.
Uh-oh.
Come on, Akubo's job in this fight don't got nothing to do with each other.
Please don't do that, Mr. Akashi. My mother is the only grown-up in our house.
Uh-oh.
My brother and sisters are all still little. If I don't have a job, we can't afford to eat.
That is sad. If you heard what he said there, he has to work because they can't afford to eat otherwise. There are situations where that happens. A lot of times there are ways of supporting families that are in that position through other community partnerships and nonprofit organizations that the school deals with. But the teacher here says that he had permission to work and now he's not going to be able to. That's a little complicated. So in a very general sense, the school does not have any say on whether a student works or not. That's not part of it. Now, your state's labor laws may say, depending on the student's age, that they can only work a certain number of hours per week or certain days. That is true here where I live in the state of Georgia. Depending on the student's age, I know starting at 14, I believe you can begin working some limited hours, but there are restrictions on how many hours you can work, how late you can work, how many hours per week, what types of jobs you can have. And then as you get older, those restrictions loosen until finally, of course, there are no restrictions. Unless he's talking about a program where you work during the day, there are programs, here it's called work-based learning, but where you can get credit by working a job under certain conditions through certain programs. A lot of places will have something like that where you can work actually during part of the school day almost as a class, like that's a class in and of itself. But there are strict requirements for that. I don't know if getting in a fight off campus outside of school would have anything to do with that, but let's see what happens here.
Leave these guys alone and punish me, why don't you?
Mm.
I'm the one who caused the real damage.
And you see him holding his tie like that. He would not be allowed to do that. If this is a teacher, which I think Urameshi said he was, you can't do that. If he grabbed his tie like that, okay, he's suspended. You can't just pull on a teacher's tie like that and kind of pull them around. That would be a suspension for sure.
Well, if you're going to be so pathetic about it, maybe I can overlook this if you make me a promise.
Oh, no.
You just name it.
All right? You have to promise not to fight anyone for an entire week.
That's totally undoable, man. What are we supposed to do if those guys come back and try to jump us?
Can you make it shorter? How about 2 hours? That seems fair.
Oh, man. The second he said about making a deal with them, I started to get a little bit nervous because I've said a couple of times, if you're a staff member, whether you're the principal, a teacher, or some other staff member, you don't make deals with students. It's just, it goes nowhere good when you start talking about making deals. And he says he'll overlook it if he doesn't fight for a whole week. And really, what is this teacher's goal? I don't understand. I guess maybe getting them to avoid fighting, I guess, of course, but it's just very strange the way they're doing it here. This would never happen in real life for obvious reasons.
If you want 1 week, then you got it.
Okay. There's the
But
principal.
can you do that, Kuwabara? 3 hours. Ask for 3.
3 hours.
And the promise is made. And
Promise.
you know what happens to people who break promises.
He's so serious.
I think he just signed a death sentence.
Yeah, so I guess he's saying if he does fight, then he just gets punished for fighting that they already did, or his friend is not able to work, I guess. He didn't really go into what happens if he doesn't fulfill this promise not to fight for a week. And that other guy keeps saying 2 hours, 3 hours. Yeah, there's a little bit of a difference there in terms of time.
Breaking the honor code is one of the highest
The honor
violations at
code.
Sarayashiki Junior High, Mr. Iwamoto.
Yes, and from the way that boy acted at Yusuke's wake, he's clearly a punk who can't resist a fight.
Oh, man. And I remember this guy from the first episode who called him like scum, and he was a weed that needed to be plucked and that he doesn't belong there. And he calls him a punk here. And again, you can't say that. You just can't, as a teacher, you just don't make remarks like that.
This way, we can expel him permanently.
I don't know which boost to the school's reputation I like best, kicking out Kuwabara or having Yusuke die on his own.
I always said those teachers were out to get me. I'm surprised they didn't run me over themselves.
Did you hear what he said here? He said, I always knew those teachers were out to get me. I have heard, not very often, but I have heard students say things like that or feel that way. It's rarely true. Now, have I seen attitudes, not quite this extreme, but like targeting a student? I have seen that. That does happen. It's extremely rare. More often than not, a teacher is just trying to hold students accountable in a fairly normal, fair way, and the student doesn't like being held accountable, so they just say that. But I have seen that before. That is a real thing, and in this case, it's certainly true. They're calling him a punk and being happy about trying to permanently expel the other guy. So he appears to be right in this case.
Man, I'm getting angry already. But let's please keep this promise. I didn't tell Mr. Akashi this, but my mom's sick and can't work either. I'm not making this up. My family could really starve.
Oh, it's
Wow.
sad.
I thought I had a bad living situation.
There's no reason to worry, Akubo. I'll stay at home all week and won't even lift a finger. It's a man's promise.
Okay, so it's him. It's I forgot his name, but the leader of this little group, he can't fight. So he's like, I'll stay home all week. Well, that is a pretty good strategy. It's hard to get into a fight if you're at home already.
You're a real friend.
I think we should all get home as quick as we can today so the guys from Kazanaga don't see us. Best of luck until tomorrow. Remember, no punching.
Okay.
I never thought I'd hear Kuwabara say that.
This
Me
is
neither.
gonna be one crazy week.
Uh-oh. Oh, it's the teacher.
Those boys should arrive any minute now.
Mr. Akashi,
Don't tell me he's in on it.
Doesn't this guy have a life besides tormenting kids?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. When I saw this guy run up behind him, I assumed it was one of the students from that other school, but it was the teacher. It's like he's gonna somehow make him break this promise or trick him or have these guys ambush him. I don't know, but Urameshi says, doesn't he have a life besides tormenting students? Yeah, I'm with him on that. I have never seen anything like that. That would be way too far. Not only making this promise and not only wanting him to get expelled, but then actively trying to get him to fight. Yeah, that would be, this teacher would be fired instantly, obviously.
Kuwabara, we've been waiting.
Now's really not the time.
Okay.
What is this, Kuwabara? Are you actually running away like a sissy?
Uh-oh. Uh-oh.
Oh no, I'm not going anywhere.
But I promise this isn't over yet.
It's messed up.
Dude, what's wrong with your face?
Yeah, so I didn't include the whole previous scene, but I would have just run away. So he started to run away, and then these other guys called him a chicken or whatever they said. They said he's cowardly for running away. And then he turns to fight, but then he realizes, oh, I can't fight. So he just lets them beat them up. I would have just ran home like he had planned. I don't know why he would have done that. Now he's like this. Let's see what happens here.
Those brats from Kazanaga got the best of me, but I never hit them back, Akubo.
You should have fought.
It's nothing I can't take.
Kuwabara. Ah, those new bruises today?
I got piled on by those guys you said were harmless, but I didn't touch them.
I'm so impressed.
Sure.
But I talked to some of the other teachers yesterday about our arrangement, and they said I was too easy on you.
Uh-oh.
What?
I was just as surprised as you are, but they were convinced. So, in addition to
Doubt
not
it.
fighting, you must all score 50% or higher on the physical science test.
Hey, you can't just keep adding conditions.
I'm afraid I just did.
Yeah, this whole thing is pretty messed up. But my question is, if he can just keep making these deals like this and like they said, add conditions, what's to stop him from just getting rid of them to begin with? This doesn't make any sense.
And if one of you fails, Okubo's job goes out the window.
So messed up.
Ha! Please, we can pass that test easy if we study a little. I got like a 45 on my last physical science test.
No worries here. I scored a 57. How about you, Akubo?
Yeah, I got a 39, so if I try a little harder, I'll be good. We're gonna be okay, right, Kuwabara? What did you get?
I got a 7!
7. All right, so he says he has to make a 50% on the physical science test, is what he said. And they're all going around telling what they made last time, and they made all these terrible grades. And 50 doesn't sound like it would be too difficult, but his last test, he made a 7, which that's pretty interesting on its own to get a score quite that low, but yet not a 0. Little bento box. He looks pretty good
There are
now.
2 types of volcanoes. Cone shapes and how do you say that word?
Studying.
Let's see, one of these has gotta help.
Going to the library. No, bookstore.
Are you telling me he's gonna spend money on something for school?
Come on, tough guy.
About to say, are they going to do it right in the bookstore? Do they not have police there that do anything about stuff like that? Wow, I feel bad for this guy.
I've been missing my daily beatings with Urameshi gone anyway.
He's gone mad.
Enough about my dumb old bruises. Let's get to studying. If the moon causes gravity and gravity causes...
All right, so they're finally going to take their test, and I didn't go through everything there, but some of the other scenes were just various groups beating him up again over and over again, and he didn't fight back because he wants to fulfill his terms of this deal with the teacher. Also, his friend will be able to continue to work. And my question is, if this teacher can just keep changing the deal and changing the deal, like, what if he makes the grade he needs to make? I think it was just a 50, and yet then he adds something else and it's all for nothing. I think I would have just taken the punishment to begin with, or go to the principal and be like, this teacher can't do this, can he? Which he can't. If he passes.
Man, I'm positive I studied this, but I can't remember.
Kuwabara, just try to remember what you dreamed.
Hey, I got it!
Okay.
Guys, I just took the test and I cleared 50 points.
No. How'd you already get the results?
I copied down my answers on scratch paper so I could check them in the textbook after I was through, and I already looked over it 4 times. I scored 53 big ones.
Then you saved me.
Wow, Kuwabara, you really licked him.
No, it was nothing. Just a promise between men.
All right, what now?
This can't be right! That garbage brain actually scored more than 50 points!
Garbage brain. Garbage brain. Man, the teachers at this school, granted, I've never seen them really talk about anybody else except for Urameshi and this guy. I forgot this guy's name. But garbage brain and punk and scum, and it's just awful. And then the principal's sitting there. I wonder if he'll say anything about it.
If that brat had only missed one more question, now he's thrown the whole plan into the sewer.
Let me show you a different method of
Oh,
grading.
no. No.
You see, Mr. Akashi, there really wasn't an answer written there.
Oh.
You made a mistake.
Oh, that's awful. So if you didn't catch that, this other teacher, I forgot his name too, but as far as what he says is even worse than this guy that made the deal here. He said, let me show you a different method of grading. And he erased one of the answers and he said, you see, there really wasn't an answer there. Oh, man. I don't know if I've ever heard of that. I've heard of cheating. There have been cheating scandals. But this is a teacher deliberately taking away answers that a student wrote down in order to lower their grade. I'm sure it's happened somewhere, but I don't know that I've ever personally witnessed that. That would be a huge problem. And Principal Takanaka is sitting here, and I wonder if he's going to say anything. I hope he does. I hope he doesn't just allow this to happen. But let's see.
Yes, I see.
No, that's
he didn't say
wrong.
anything.
And what's really painful is that you were so close. But I'm afraid a promise is
48.
a promise, young man. I'll go notify Okuba's employers.
But I checked it.
Oh well, I guess there are many things you can't do right.
Terrible.
I know this isn't right. I checked all the answers myself.
Uh-oh.
I don't believe it. That no good teacher erased my last answer.
Uh-oh.
Who does he think he is?
Uh-oh.
I'll show you. Kuwabara, stop!
Okay. Yeah, so kind of had me in suspense there with that long punch. So, and I didn't think he could grab people, Urameshi, because he's dead and he's some sort of spirit. But just grabbing him like this, I mean, that alone could get him put out of school, at least suspended, probably a fairly long suspension, but that could get him put out of school and either expelled or put into some sort of alternative school program. Yeah, you can't do that for obvious reasons. Granted, this teacher has done a really horrible thing, but he's going to have a difficult time proving that he erased his answer unless he got that other teacher or the principal to verify that. he's going to have a hard time proving it. And then he just attacks him. But he stopped short of punching him, I guess, I suppose. Let's see how this plays out here.
I don't know if you can hear me, but I'm gonna say this. Just remember Okubo. All the poundings you took for him. Punch this teacher, and all that's erased.
Yeah.
Kuwabara!
but still, he grabbed him. He grabbed him and pulled him, and now he's on the ground. He would have to answer for that big time, even if he didn't punch him.
It would have been worth getting hit just to see you expelled.
Mm.
But either way, the test score is marked down as 48. I've got the power, you see.
Yeah. Yeah, he does, I guess, have the power. But my question is, like, if he's willing to do all that, like, he probably could get him into trouble some other way, much easier. And again, this student would get in some pretty serious trouble for doing what he did here, even though he didn't actually hit him.
Find something funny, Mr. Akashi?
Okay, here we
Did
go.
you see that, Mr. Takanaka? That hoodlum nearly wrang my neck.
And I think if someone had corrupted my answer sheet the way you and Mr. Iwamoto did to that
Finally.
boy, I would have wrung your neck too.
But wait, I don't know what you mean.
I'm sure that you know how precious the honor system is at this junior high, so I'd appreciate it greatly if you didn't lie to my face. Now,
Okay. Dude, these characters. Wow. All right. So on the one hand, I do appreciate the principal stepping in and actually addressing this, because the whole time while they were falsifying his answer sheet or his test, he just sat there reading the newspaper, and clearly he heard what they were doing and didn't say anything and just allowed it to happen. And I'm glad that he's addressing it, and he's saying the honor system that we have is very important. But look at this. He grabs him by the coat here. You can't do that. These people, just like I said in the first episode, you can't just go around hitting and grabbing people. It just doesn't work that way. He could be fired for this, just for grabbing him like that, or some sort of very serious disciplinary action like a suspension without pay, or worse. You can't do that. He could maybe be charged for that. I mean, that's pretty serious. So on the one hand, I'm glad that he's addressing this with the teacher. On the other hand, you can't look how close he is. He's less than an inch away from him, and he's grabbed him by the coat, and he said that he would wring his neck for corrupting the answer sheet or whatever, however he described it. This can't possibly get any crazier, at least I think.
you're going to correct that score immediately.
Of course.
Wow.
Kuwabara! They're gonna let me keep my job for good. Mr. Takanaka said that everyone scored higher than 50 points.
You're kidding me! I tried to stop him from hitting that teacher as a reflex. I didn't think he'd hear me.
They can't hear words unless they're asleep. But you can communicate feelings to living people when they're on the same emotional wavelength. See,
The same emotional wavelength, huh? Okay, whatever. I've said before, I'm not a huge anime fan, but this has been really, really entertaining. Some of the stuff I'm like, oh, okay, that's nice. Explain that to me. I didn't include it, but he helped him study while he was asleep. So I guess when he's asleep, he can communicate with him, and they have to be on the same emotional wavelength, whatever that means. But it looks like, thanks to the principal here, this guy is going to be able to keep his job and save his family.
you reached Kuwabara with your feelings.
Hey, give me a break! Everything's going fine, and then you have to get mushy.
You don't have to be embarrassed.
Thank you, man.
Okay.
You talking to Ghost again, Kuwabara?
All right. So that is the episode. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen, honestly, particularly because it was in school. So many things wrong with that, really. But it was a pretty good little story. So they get in a fight at the beginning. They're going to be punished for the fight. This guy, who's kind of a minor character, but his situation is at the crux of the story. He's going to lose his job and his family is going to starve. So this guy lets all sorts of people beat him up, and then he has to make a good score on the physical science test. And then the teacher falsifies his score, and the principal hears about it, does nothing, but then like roughs the teacher up for doing it like the next day or something. Really awful behavior on everybody's part. And I think I said that on the first episode too. Like every single character in this show behaves so badly. I've never seen anything like this in real life, but I have to say it was pretty entertaining for sure. One of the most entertaining things I've seen, even though it was so crazy. But thank you all for recommending that. I really enjoyed it. For those of you that are anime fans, please feel free to recommend other series or other episodes, particularly if they have school scenes in them. I can't wait to see what you all come up with, because I do tend to follow those recommendations. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed, and I'll see you on the next video on School Principal Reacts. Thanks for watching.